Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Inside the Pickle Jar. And today's episode is part two of my interview with an amazing woman named Linda Sibio. And as you know, on Inside the Pickle Jar, this is a show where we really get honest about what it means to live in a neurodivergent mind. And I really appreciated Linda Sibio's honesty and openness. We're going to pick back up. I'm going to restate the question around why she decided to embrace the word psychotic. She uses this throughout her entire interdisciplinary artistry. But I wanted to review, in case you didn't see part one, who Linda actually is. She was born in 1953 in Montgomery, West Virginia. And then she went on to earn her BFA in painting from Ohio University. And it was while she was there, at 18 years old, she was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And she could have let that be the end of the story, but she absolutely didn't. Instead, Linda spent the next several decades doing something really radical. She turned the very thinking patterns her diagnosis named, the fragmentation, the nonlinear association, what the clinical world calls psychotic thinking, which we're going to pick back up, as I said, on that question, and she turned it into a creative methodology. And I don't mean a metaphor for it, not a way of coping with it, an actual methodology, a tool, a practice that she's been refining for over 40 years, and in the part one, she said actually 50 years. So then in the 1980s, she studied acting with Eric Morris and performance with the legendary Rachel Rosenthal in Hollywood. And then she became a founding member of the Los Angeles Poverty Department, which she calls LAPD. And she made art directly with communities living in Skid Row. And then she formed her own collective. And then in 2001, she created Bezerk Productions and founded it, which is a nonprofit dedicating to educating the public on the interdisciplinary creative practices of people with severe mental health differences, and then expanding real opportunities for marginalized populations. A year later, she created Cracked Eggs, her signature 12-week workshop series for neurodiverse adults and transitional age youth. And the program integrates improvisation, movement, breath work, and intensive visual art to help participants transform their lived experience into something they can actually hold and share and show. It has grown from a grassroots program into a $1.5 million innovation project funded through San Bernardino County's Department of Behavioral Health. Participants don't just make art, they exhibit it publicly. They become artists. And Linda's own work is held in the VSA Permanent Collection at the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. She has performed at the Walker Art Center, Franklin Furnace, and Highways Performance Space. She has shown her visual work at Track 16 Gallery and Craft Contemporary in Los Angeles, and the Andrew Edlin Gallery in New York. Her grants include support from Lannan Foundation, the Rockefeller MAP Fund, and the Wynn Newhouse Award. She currently lives and works in Joshua Tree, California. And in the rest of this conversation, we finished talking about what it actually feels like to work from the inside of a schizophrenic mind, what happens in a room when someone is asked to use the most stigmatized part of themselves as creative material, and what 40 years, 50 years, of refusing to pathologize your own brain looks like from the other side. Pickle friends, this is one of those conversations. I think you're going to feel it. Please listen to part two of my conversation with the amazing Linda Sibio. So, the word psychotic in society carries a lot of weight, both clinically, culturally, it's stigmatized, but you use it deliberately and without softening. When did you decide to claim it in that way, rather than like work around it?
When I worked on Skid Row, there was a lady named Molly Lowry. And Molly Lowry was a saint to many people. And she started three facilities on Skid Row in 1985. And I was in the brochure. and she saw that I do these big pieces. And she says, I think you should come out and say you're schizophrenic. I said, why? Well, why in God's name would I want to do that? And she said, because it'll help other people on the row and elsewhere to have faith that they can get out. So that's why I did it.
Oh, good for you. So have you ever gotten pushback on that language from funders or participants or even the mental health system?
Well, it's really funny how it started out because I started mentioning it in my funding when I did my piece called West Virginia Schizophrenic Blues. Okay?
Yeah, nice. I love this.
Yes, and the funding, at first people were hesitant to give me money. But once they saw West Virginia Schizophrenic Blues, the Cultural Affairs Department of Los Angeles funded it. Once they saw it, they were like, wow, this is wonderful, you know? And it's very deep and hardcore and not fluffy, no flowers, you know? And so it's, excuse me, I lost my train of thought.
It's okay. I felt like you were headed to a place that said you just owned it because it helped
Yeah,
others.
I owned it. Yeah, West Virginia, after West Virginia Schizophrenic Blues, I said, like, this is the art form for me, interdisciplinary, you know?
For sure.
And I had already been working, I started working kind of simultaneously with the mentally challenged people on Skid Row. So I was I was living it, you know.
Yeah.
I was down on the road with my little moped and teaching and talking to big people, all different nationalities. And I came in the
Yeah.
room and they were talking, and it was 15 minutes past class time. And I said, hey, if you want to talk, there's the door. Then
That's
they're like, I said, okay, we're going to do some exercise. So I started in giving them performance exercises and stuff. But John, who was the original guy, did not know how to motivate them. But I kind of grew up as a street kid because I was in the orphanage. And I identified with everyone because of my background.
That's amazing. So, back to the Cracked Eggs piece. Now, finally, you founded Bezerk Productions in 2001, and then
Yeah.
Cracked Eggs, your signature workshop series, came the following year. What was the gap you were trying to fill?
No, the thing that I did with county didn't happen until we started on the grant in 2019.
Okay, for Cracked Eggs?
Well, there's two Cracked Eggs. One I
Okay.
started by myself,
Okay.
and one I did with the county. Does it matter
Okay.
which one?
Well, talk about the original one because that's the
Oh,
foundation of everything, right?
okay. The original Cracked Eggs, I moved here from Los Angeles. I had a very bad nervous breakdown that lasted for 7 years, and I couldn't take care of myself. I couldn't go out of my house. I was just really ill, and I had no one to turn to. And so this lady who owns a Buddhist place on Copper Mountain Mesa called Don Medina, she rented me a house that had one huge room that I could use as a studio, right? It didn't have any water, it didn't have any heat,
Oh my God.
and it was just a space, you know? So I started making these drawings they had lots of miniature images in them, like hundreds and hundreds of images in every piece, you know? And they had macro and micro images.
Yeah.
And people asked me about them. I said, that's what I see. There's thousands of them in my brain. And
Okay.
I told my friend Jean, and I said, I've discovered images I can use for the rest of my life. It's pretty true. And so after that period was over, I reconnected with someone who was in the LAPD after I left, the Los Angeles Poverty Department, and she said you should write the California Arts Council grant for artists in residence at different places. So I made a grant to do work in schools, at-risk youth, but they didn't like what I did. So the council said I could change sponsors. So I changed sponsors to a mental health facility in Yucca Valley called Morongo Basin Mental Health. And I just went in with my resume from LA and stuff, and I said I want to do workshops here. I don't have any money for a rent, but I can give services to your students for free, right? And they go, why not? So I made a poster and I put it in the lobby, and I went for a year with one student,
Oh goodness. Okay. You
and
had
then
faith. You believed in yourself. That is so awesome.
and we did a show at a place called the Beatnik Cafe with her, and it was all about making masks out of paper bags and different characters, and she was a great actress, and a lot of people saw the show. So the next week after the show, when we went back in, we had about 5 people. Right? And then we worked with a group of 5 or 6 for another couple of years. And then we did a show at the theater in Joshua Tree, a big show called Manic Wisteria.
Okay.
And it was about 2 people who suffered from manic symptoms, and they were queens, and we made this huge backdrop. This one guy said he wanted to do the backdrop, and I said, okay, you have to follow my directions, and he said, okay. So he made this backdrop that had all these little holes in it, so you could put your head in it, and you look like a character.
Oh, that's so great. Yes.
Right. And so that was a big hit. And after that, we had no trouble getting students.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So this was part of the original Cracked Eggs in 2001. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you said you had a 7-year mental breakdown.
Yeah.
That was between 2001 and 2019 with the second Cracked Eggs. Is that right?
Well, my breakdown ended in 2004.
Okay. Okay.
So, but I started working with the mentally challenged when I still had my breakdown.
Oh, goodness.
I was able to do that. That was one thing I was able to do.
And did you leave the house for that, or did they come
I
to you?
did.
Okay.
I
Did
left
it
the
help
house.
you recover? Was it
Yes.
part of your recovery? Oh, that
Yes.
makes sense. Getting out and being with people and community and
I got
we're all
support from the Ruth Dennison, who was the Buddhist teacher I was studying with.
Ah, I see. Okay. So you're working with neurodiverse adults and transitional age youth who are also navigating serious mental health challenges. And some of them have been told their entire lives that the way their minds work is a problem. And now you're asking them to use exactly that as their material. What does that invitation feel like to someone who hears it for the first time?
Well, I don't explain what I'm doing when I teach. I
Nice.
just
Okay.
do it.
Okay.
And I just like the first classes on seeing and perception. Okay? And it's just how an artist sees versus how normal people see. Associative versus abstraction, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And and I bring all these kind of toys and stuff that they draw from, and kaleidoscopes, prisms, and mirrors, and all sorts of things. And so what they're drawing is hallucination type things. You know, they're drawing things that could be a hallucination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then for the next step in drawing, I I do rubbings. You know, rubbings are where you take a piece of paper and a pencil and you put it over a texture and you go like this and
Mm-hmm.
you rub it. So
Yeah.
we do two things. We do one part with pencil and then the other part with charcoal, and it has all this depth
Mm-hmm.
and everything. So they begin to see that this is something, you
Yeah.
know, that this is turning into a drawing, and some of them are really, really good at that.
That's
So I don't ever say I'm going to teach you art or that I'm going to teach you drawing or painting. I say it as an afterthought if I say it.
okay.
And I don't ever tell them that it's going to help their mental health until really deep into the program when we start doing group paintings. And then I'm saying how this could work with the mental health.
That's amazing.
Because,
So, what's the resistance that comes up, and how do you meet any of that kind of resistance from the students specifically?
well, the hardest thing was to get them to do movement and voice. Yeah. The painting and drawing, they were all for, but I feel movement and voice is really important, you know,
Yeah.
to get ready to paint or draw. Because it draws up your emotions and it draws up your, it puts your body into a slight trance and you're in an altered state a little bit. And that makes you less conscientious about your illness, like
Yeah.
you have one of the major illnesses. And I, and then occasionally I'll say, if they make a drawing, I'll say, I did a show and I made drawings for my hallucinations, and it was really kind of cool, and this reminds me of that. So but I never say I'm trying to do something therapeutic, because it's not really about that.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
It's
I
about
understand
making
it.
fine art, and I want them to be artists. I don't want them to be. I don't want to psychoanalyze them.
Right. Yeah, because you're definitely telling them this is not fixable, but you can use it in a
Yes,
creative, and you're not broken. It's just a unique brain wiring that makes you uniquely you and uniquely creative. And
right.
you bring acceptance to them that they probably
Mhm.
haven't ever had before.
Hold on one second. Jessica, yeah, would you mind getting me some water in this? Um,
So
yeah,
your program recently received, is it recent, a 1.5 million innovation
yes.
project grant through San
Well,
Bernardino?
it was about 7 years ago, because
Okay.
it took 2 years to write the grant
Oh, okay.
in 1990. Then after 2019, we all know what happened, COVID.
Yes, that's true.
Right. So they held off the opening of it, thanks. Um, of, they held off the opening of it for a year, and we all worked without getting paid for a year.
Wow. Okay.
And then um, let's see. After that, we started with an online program, through Zoom.
Yeah.
But the county did not know how to maneuver the program because I stressed they had to have privacy. You know, each student needed to have some privacy, or as a group at least they needed privacy. You know,
Yes.
and they put everyone in a group with other people who are doing their laundry, making lunch, and all this stuff. And there was a fight between my group and the people, other people, and the county. I told them that would happen, you know,
Yes.
if they didn't have privacy.
Yeah.
So then they moved it to a private room, but it was already too late, you know. So
Damage was done.
they cut performance from the class as a result
I see.
in writing. So my insanity principle is performance, writing, visual art, performance writing, and visual art. Okay, but cracked eggs is movement, voice, painting, and drawing.
Okay. And that's a workshop that's still ongoing. People
Yeah.
can sign up and reach out to you.
Yes, they
and
can.
Okay, I'll be sure I include links in all my show notes so that if people
Okay.
want to reach out to you,
Yeah, they can reach out, and we're not doing it online, but we are doing it in our space we have here. So we
Yeah.
do have an online version, but for people that I worked with in the county who don't have any experience with art and are extremely ill with their illnesses, not ill, I don't want to say ill, but I want to say they're extremely self-conscious about their illnesses, you know.
Right.
And you cannot do that online
Right. That's right.
unless I rework something, and which would be in the future. There might be portions of it I could do online, you know,
Yeah.
certain subjects, certain elements, but you can't get their attention online. And I
Yeah.
have to get attention.
It's kind of hard to snap your fingers and are you paying attention? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so much better in person.
Yeah. So is there still something you're trying to figure out in the work and the methodology in yourself, like what's next, all of that?
Always.
Yeah, so you want to talk about it? You want to talk about what you're
Well,
planning for what's next?
I have two programs, and I want to get both of them ready to give to the world. And then I'm trying to have a neuroscience study done on the cracked eggs, you know, to see if the program works because I'm a good teacher, which I am, but or if it's the exercises that or have something inherent in them that is helps people.
So, yeah. So as you think about anything about I haven't covered in cracked eggs, is there anything you want my audience to know that we haven't had a chance to discuss related to any of the projects? Because I know you also have a coloring book. You mentioned earlier that you have a book coming out.
Yeah, I
What
want to
else
talk
would you
about
like?
the coloring book.
Okay. I do have a couple of questions about it.
Okay.
So, the mental health coloring book that you developed called CCC More, Listen with Your Eyes, it's a very different object than a gallery show or a performance at the Walker. What made you want to work in that form, and what do you want people to know about it?
Oh, okay. Well, actually, the guy who worked with me on the coloring book, he was the one really into the coloring book.
Okay.
His name was Dominic Miller, and here, his name was Dominic Miller.
Oh, look at that. It's beautiful and gigantic. I love that. I'm going to have to get myself a copy.
Okay, well, we have plenty we could send.
Ah, nice. That's amazing.
But it was his I. We both had the idea. I said one day we should make a coloring book in class, and that way people could, because they like coloring in clubhouses. So I said that way people could color their own coloring book, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he took it seriously and he says, I want to write a grant for a coloring book. And I'm
Okay.
like, okay. I said, and he told me his reasoning and everything, and I said, okay. Well, shortly after he wrote it, he left.
Oh,
We got the grant.
oh my gosh.
So I had the lead. I had to train 8 artists how to work with mentally challenged people, which was an interesting process because the men's the artists didn't understand brain abstraction like that, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah,
So
that's true.
I taught them aspects of the insanity principle workshop, and then we made this list of phrases, and all those phrases could be a mental health issue, but they were poetic phrases, like dark clouds
Okay.
and bright green sunny grass, you know, so they would be related to emotions, okay? And so they could use those as prompts for the students, or they can make up their own because they had training,
Right.
okay? And everyone loved the coloring book. We met twice a week, and we met at a cafe where they could all have a coffee and stuff. And they gave us these tables out front, and they let us run a tab, you know. And they got both the social thing, people coming in and asking what they were doing, and them having to explain what it was. I taught a class, one of my students I trained, to Erica Moscow, and her husband at the time. I trained them to be teachers too. And it was just a fascinating experience. Everything that came out of it. And people who did that coloring book thing are today still pursuing their career.
Oh, really? In art or in coloring books? Like, what's.
Well, art, they're drawing pictures and paintings and, you know, getting involved. And it's a dream of the company, Bezerk Productions, to have a thing called the networking network. Okay, and we would provide supplies for people who want to keep going, and then we would also we might partner with a lady who's been finding jobs in the arts for mentally challenged people for years. So we might partner with them on that because I think it's good that it helps, you know, to do a workshop, but if they continue it, it would be continuously, they would be controlling their symptoms and wouldn't have these really heavy psychotic problems, you know?
Well, and they won't be left because it typically happens. I'm assuming. I mean, you could speak to this when they're left alone, and they don't get to stay grounded and connected to other people who are
Right.
compassionate and understanding.
Isolation is a big part.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's my last question. You've been doing this, the art, the teaching, the performance, the advocacy for over 50 years. So
Yeah.
Linda at 18, just diagnosed in that room, what does she not know yet about what her mind is capable of? What does your 18-year-old self not know about how amazing Linda will be?
Oh, wow. Well, the 18-year-old always had strength and hope. So even though she lived a very rough life throughout her career, she still had faith that something big was going to happen for her. So, because I had moments of really highs, like at the Walker, I did 2 shows and stuff. I think that I I have persevered, and I'm just now my sister threw away these oil paintings of mine from New York when I lived there for 10 years. She threw them away. She put them in storage and didn't pay the bill. And all this time I've been so distressed about those oil paintings. They were so good. And they were pictures of my mother and all sorts of things. My mother's suicide, I did a huge piece on that. But I finally got over my fear of oils, and someone gave me a bunch of oils.
Oh.
So I did an oil painting the other day.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you're bringing them back to
It
life.
took about a month to finish it, but it got finished. I don't know if I can show it to you, but I'll try.
You can also send me a copy, like digitally, if they can send it to me, and I can include it as part
Okay,
of this
so
podcast.
I'll send it as a, let me see, that, that's the one? Yeah, okay. I can send it to your email.
Sure. So hang on with me. I'm going to close the show while you do
Okay.
that. Is there anything else you would like to say to the audience before I do?
Yeah, never give up.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for that. Yes.
Okay.
So don't hang up. But I just want to tell everybody, if you have enjoyed this conversation I've had with Linda, I know I have. You're a historic feature. I love what you're doing for the community, for the mentally challenged, or those that are. Yes, say.
I forgot to say, we're doing a film called Cracked Eggs.
Oh, you have a film. So you need to hunt down Linda Sibio's film, Cracked Eggs. You've got a documentary coming out. If you've enjoyed this, please share it with other people. Like, subscribe, stay in touch. And until next time, my pickle friends.